Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Holy smokes. How's it going, Matt?
I'm well.
I just saw you mouthing the words to your own recorded intro.
I finally learned the lyrics.
Yeah. Cheers. That was pretty cool. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. Oh, okay.
Really dropped the bass on that one, baby.
I'm trying to make Matt, excited about saying basketball podcast together with me. But
I wanted to add some bass because you're a bit sick. Everyone can hear.
I am a bit sick.
Apologize.
I'm so sorry. I had food poisoning about a week and a half ago.
Back with the food poisoning.
That's right. At a bachelor party on Saturday night, and I got a bit run down. Yeah. So things are okay. The Raptors are more than okay. Let's actually wait. Before we bring on the guests here, Matt, where can people find us? Help us. Donate to us.
Absolutely. Well, we don't have a Patreon yet.
Sure.
It's in the works.
Okay.
We're just trying to think of all those different benefits
for sure
that you can, pay into. But you can go to dunkspodcast.com, and we've got all our links for iTunes and Stitcher and Pocket Casts, Overcast.
And we're on Player FM.
And a little cute one called Player FM. That's something you like.
Yeah.
It's like the old days, putting the old record player on in the living room.
Everybody loves Player
to
FM.
The war.
Oh, me and my friends, like my good friends, we like Player FM.
Player FM. Yeah. Awesome. So that's pretty much it.
Sweet. Come on. Support us, help us, love us.
Oh, God. Yeah, listen to him. He sounds like shit.
Listen to me, okay? This is because I'm in, basically like the Don Valley Parkway. Like traffic's coming at me and I'm screaming basketball takes.
It's going to get you sick every time.
So I need you to help me out. Let's bring on two amazing guests. They've both been on the pod before.
They have.
He's coming from New York City.
New York.
I know his credentials now, but I almost messed him up. He was recently on the Stephen Colbert report.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Not the report anymore.
I messed it up. Okay, you know what? That's actually good.
Existed in like 5 years.
Listen,
he didn't even have stand-ups on that show.
It's true.
He was on the Stephen Colbert report as a character.
Are you even in show business?
Welcome, Buddy Cole. No, just kidding. Give it up for Graham K, everybody.
Hi. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you got my name right. Music.
Yeah, I never know if the people on the phone can actually hear it or not. So we're just like fully trolling them. Graham, I messed up your.
So angry.
I messed up your damn credit again.
Yeah,
but thank
He's
you.
on Newhart.
I'd love to be on Newhart. I'd be my brother Daryl. I'd be the other brother Daryl.
Oh yeah, I love the fucking Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. You're great.
Yeah.
Anyway. Graham, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you for having me. Just to give the audience a background off here, he just said, "Congrats, Graham." I never got a chance to say it, but before we start, I just want to say congrats on being on Conan. And I wasn't on Conan, and that's fine.
But you were on the Jay Leno report, so
I was.
So I got that right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes,
okay. Well, let's. Maybe I'll be better at talking about basketball. She's one of my favorite basketball people in the world. She writes amazing things for everyone, and she's very in touch with her feelings, but she's very in touch with everything that matters in basketball. Give it up at home for Katie Heindl.
I like letting it hang out there because you don't like to talk over it.
That's my regular song by now.
Do you recognize it?
Mm-hmm. I recognize it by now.
A little different.
What's up, Katie? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be here as always.
Congrats for being on Conan.
Thank you. I had a great time on Conan.
Yeah,
I'm sad for this guy he wasn't on Conan.
I know.
Me and Conan, we really hit it off.
Yeah.
man.
I could see you guys getting along. You know what? Honestly, if Conan was here right now, he'd get a big kick at all of this.
Oh, yeah. Think? Yeah, I'm definitely going to tag him in the post.
Yeah.
let's just get right to it because there's a lot to get to.
Let's
Is
get
there?
into it.
Oh boy.
Matt, I'm just looking up the players you sent me.
Yeah.
I think we got some good ones. Why don't you tell me something I don't know? Oh shit!
Do you know who it is?
It's not loading. Here we go. Oh yeah, sorry. Actually, I don't know this first one very well. I know him a little bit.
Okay.
But why don't you tell me something I don't know about Hassan Adams?
Hassan Adams. He played 12 games for the Raptors in the 2008 season, which was his last go in the NBA. He really only lasted a couple of seasons there. But did you know his nickname? And this one, I made sure to do this for you. His nickname was Hot Sauce.
Ooh,
Did you know that?
Ooh.
I didn't know, but I like it. I like hot stuff.
That's real close to Spicy Pete.
I know.
Really close to Spicy
I
P.
know.
Yeah. Forerunner.
And you know what? He was like, before he was drafted, he was, thought to go in the top 10. He was Mr. California basketball. I guess that's a big thing. And McDonald's All-American. And then, but he started to get all kinds of citations and stuff when he was in his like senior college year. He would like get, just dumb like speeding tickets. He got like a minor DUI.
Okay.
So that kind of hurt his draft ranking. And then in the pre-draft workout, PJ Tucker stepped on his foot and broke it.
On purpose.
But you could be so
No,
lucky.
just I think it was an accident.
You could be so
It was like that
lucky
Lance
for that to
Stevenson
happen.
step on to throw, probably the same thing.
But yeah, like
PJ's different.
yeah, PJ. If he steps on your foot, like thank God, right?
Yeah.
Did you know he last played in a league called the AmeriLeague, which was a league that he didn't even get to play actually because it folded because the guy who founded it was a con artist.
Nice.
And that's pretty much the last I could find of him, other than I think he does some basketball camps in Singapore.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, his name's Hassan Adams, and he's not a very famous basketball player, and
He's not.
I think he did pretty good. I didn't
It's
know.
tough.
I didn't know much of that.
We are getting to the end of this segment. I'm
Are
afraid
we?
to say.
Wow.
Have you done John Salmons yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we going to run out of Raptors players?
Well, it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have to go to their hometowns and talk to people to see where they
Well,
are.
then it's going to have to get to that point. Maddie, would you give me that NBA sting?
NBA.
Oh, no.
RTZ.
You knew I was wrong. He knew I was wrong. I meant Raptors.
It's all right.
Paging Bobby Webster.
Just still the weirdest soundbite nobody asked for. Paging Bobby Webster from a dying chipmunk.
Now, that is my job to remind everybody who our GM is. Continue.
Okay, I will. So let's just start by talking about Danny Green. Graham, I'll go to you first.
Okay.
Just in general, how good is Danny Green?
Well, I've been reading up about him. I mean, I obviously know who he is, but I mean, for preparation for this podcast, I wanted to, really understand. And I read a pretty interesting article in The Athletic, and the guy there, Eric Coreen, says that he's having the greatest role player season in Toronto history. Raptors history, probably all of Toronto as well. He didn't say whether it was Raptors or Toronto. It could be also Maple Leafs history.
Okay.
But,
Wow. That's a deep canon.
Here's the thing. I've always liked Danny Green. I've always thought that he was a really good role player. And then when he came to the Raptors, I was like, why isn't he dunking? I thought he was like a high flyer.
Right.
And then I was like doing research for this. I'm like, oh yeah, he like ripped his groin off like last year or something. His like dick fell off.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And then anyway, so like he's actually played like he's pretty. He hasn't got injured this year, I don't think, and he's been played in most games and pretty consistent. But apparently, he's saying like he can't. He's just like this year he's feeling he doesn't have the explosiveness he used to, which actually might be a benefit because it's forcing him to concentrate on what he actually excels at, which is shooting. And he is 8% higher behind the arc than he has been in any other part of his career. And he's 9, and he's 6.4% from everywhere else higher at shooting.
That's incredible.
it's insane. And he's like more of a catch and shooter now. So he's just creating that space for the boys, for Kawhi. So I think it's like an addition by subtraction. So I don't know. I think he's really good. I did not know he was going to be this good when he came over. I thought he was like a throw-in in the trade, and like not necessarily a throw-in, but like I just didn't know that he was going to be completely make CJ Miles redundant, and he's awesome. I think he's very good.
Yeah, no, I mean, correct. Yes, he's incredible. That's kind of what I was going for with this question, like how good is Danny Green? Because I think that, he was perceived as a throw-in in that trade. I remember being very excited about it, but still kind of like cautiously optimistic. And I think he's exceeded, I think what the best possible outlook for how good he might be. Katie, I'll just jump to you with the same question. How good is Danny Green?
Like, he's amazing in all the ways that you've said, but he's also stepped into the role in like such an incredible way.
Right.
I feel like for a player to come to the city, like he's got his Yahoo podcast.
Yep.
Like he's willing to have fun on Serge's cooking show.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is so indicative of what he's doing here. Like Danny Green is not a player that like comes into a franchise and is just there for like a one-off year. Right. Like I think when he's like digging in this deep and like, the obvious thing is he's a very good road to Kawhi. But the fact that he's so taken with the city and the city's so taken with him, like I honestly feel like on and off the court, there's this real sense of like, is there anything this guy can't do? But there actually isn't.
Yeah.
Like there actually isn't.
Keys to the city for Danny Green.
His 3-point shooting, like the way that he's a distributor this year, like the way that he's he's got a real like, intuition about the game that I feel like, you see with Lowry, like you saw with DeRozan, but that's, I think, what makes the Raptors such like a good team, because they all work together in this like really seamless way. And Danny like stepped into that right away. And he stepped into it in a way, I think, where he wasn't necessarily relying on Kawhi to do that. And I think that's what people thought he would do, because they're like, oh, he's our like secondary piece in this trade, right? He's like sort of who we got tossed in. But in a lot of ways, like, I hope this isn't sacrilegious, but in a lot of ways, like the what Danny gives to the team is like a lot more apparent and like in the crunch, kind of more valuable than what Kawhi gives. Well,
I mean, like, I think that's actually like a interesting argument. And because with Danny, there's so many things you have to take into account with how good he is. And I think, he had that explosive game with the Magic, and everyone's like kind of giving him some love. Obviously, he's, the lead topic on this podcast, but he's the connective tissue and always is. And like, I think Marc Gasol is a guy like that. And early on, we saw it with Kawhi a little bit, where Kawhi was looking for him because Kawhi was like, oh, that's a guaranteed assist. But then that became infectious and everyone started looking for him. And, that last piece of a guy like Gasol, who's just all about ball movement all the time, that makes it contagious for everyone to pass. And Danny is confident enough to know that, okay, well, when the ball gets to me, I shoot. Like, for the most part, guys are going to pass. I think Fred's like that, too. Fred's like, when the ball gets to me, I shoot. Whereas sometimes a guy like Gasol is like still looking for the extra pass, even though it's like, no, it's your turn to shoot.
It did take a while for Fred to get there, and I feel like he's not like, he's still such a good intuitive player too, and I think that's what like makes him such a phenomenal point guard, when he can just be like, do I need to shoot? Like, will this shot be taken better by somebody else right now? But it took him a while to get that, and it also took him a while to get the confidence to be like, no, I'm just gonna shoot.
Yeah, Fred is a really good read for the game. And I think there's been a couple times where we're like, oh, is Fred going to develop chemistry with Serge type of thing? But I think I'm seeing that more. But just back to Danny Green, it's kind of, I'll
always take it to Fred.
I'll always bring it to Fred, yeah. Well, you know what? Fred bet on himself, but also you bet on Fred, like pretty early on. I feel like I was a little bit like that with Siakam, but, I don't know if anyone can really take the, like, I bet on Siakam first. We all liked him right away, or most people did. But like, as Graham was saying, I think that's kind of an interesting point too, as a player ages, right? So he had this kind of like severe, awful groin injury where he was pretty injured all of last year. And then also he's he had that down shooting year, not playing with Kawhi, and it was a weird year for the Spurs in general. Then he comes here.
He's still a great defensive player, though.
He's fantastic.
Another thing is we also got a sick defensive player. Not only is he shooting better, he's just awesome on the other end. I don't know. I think they're like this.
Yeah.
This team is really starting to show their potential. They've been like a top third of the league defensive team statistically all season, and like the past couple games, you're like, holy cow! Like Gasol's starting to figure it out. I mean, it just looked really good.
Yeah. I think that's going to take us to our next topic pretty well, actually. Danny's amazing. He's looking good. He deserves all the shine he's getting. A lot of players are gassing him up, and he's a mentor. He's that guy who kind of
got snakes.
He's got snakes.
He keeps
snakes. That's the thing, right? Yeah, he's got snakes.
He's a
That's
reptile
fun.
lover.
That's fun. He's got snakes. So cheers to that. If you got a snake, pick it up, out of the aquarium or whatever, and cheers it.
He looks like a guy who'd have a snake.
He really does,
for sure.
doesn't he? He does. I tried to explain that to someone the other day. They were like, "I don't know what you mean."
He looks
They're
like
snake guys.
Yeah. He plays like a lot of computer games and has like a lot of LED lights in his house and has snakes.
And some people kind of have that look like at my bachelor party, one of the things we did was we went knife.
Always bringing it back.
We went knife throwing, and the guy looked like a guy
owner.
No, a guy who teaches a class about knife throwing. You know what I mean? Like we all walked in, and he was like, "Guess who I am?" And we were like, "Oh, we know, sir."
He was a professional knife thrower.
T-shirt. Ponytail.
Oh yeah.
He had a long ponytail tied up,
strapped to his body.
But no, just a good. Graham was bringing up, how things seem like they're starting to click, and I think a big part of that is we've had so many games where Kawhi's missing, or Lowry's missing, or Gasol's still too new, or is Serge going to start? Is Gasol going to start? What's going on with Siakam? Fred's injured, and I think that Orlando game. I mean, maybe we'll get another one, but for me that seemed like the playoff preview. I think Nurse only played 9 guys in the first half before we blew out the game. And it seems like the 7 guys are, Kyle, Danny, Kawhi, Pascal, Serge, Gasol, Fred. Then there's a bit of a gap there, and I think guys 8 and 9 are Norm and OG in whatever order you have them, and then I think everyone else is like 10, 11, 12. Break glass in case of emergency. Like I'm not necessarily expecting to see Lynn or Meeks or McCaw play significant playoff minutes. McCaw got injured. Not. But exactly. I think we all kind of hope not. And I've brought this up a million times in the pod before, but also if Kawhi can play 40 minutes, that's going to mean even guys like OG might not play, or Norm might. If Danny, for instance, can play big minutes in the playoffs, then that rotation is going to get extra short. But Katie, I'll start with you on this one. As far as the rotation. From what you know of it, and by the way, if you disagree with what I just said, please, that's okay. But as far as the rotation, do you like it? Do you think it's like we have our winning combinations? Is there more to come still?
I like last night's rotation, but one thing I feel like I've been critical of Nurse of all year, and I think we've talked about it, is there's been this sense like we're trying to iron out our rotations. We're trying to iron out like what that looks like. We're experimenting and I love getting weird and like the experimentation there. Yeah. But at some point it has to be for something. At some point you have to land on like, this is the definitive. This is what we're going to go with. And I don't really feel like that's happened yet. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a good counterpoint to that where we had that in previous playoffs and that didn't serve them at all.
It's true.
It's like we had the like hard rotation and then it like completely fell apart, or like we didn't have an answer when it was figured out. So like a little bit yes and no. Like I'm trepidatious. I like what they're doing. I think in terms of like if you're gonna go like OG or Powell, like it feels a bit treacherous to say, but I want to go with OG.
I think I do as well, just for the defensive upside.
Defensive upside, and I think just like energy. Like we've seen Norm, like he has been the difference maker in playoff
in the
series
playoffs.
before.
I know,
like, and that's where
poor guy.
That's where he like exploded, right, and became like on all of our radars. But I think he's he can be like so much more like hot and cold, and we've seen that of him. So if you need like a change maker, if you need an energy shift, I'd rather look to OG than Norm for that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
And do you like?
I still think OG has he's not done growing as a player, and I think he just has a higher upside. And
Totally.
I still
Totally
excited
agree.
to see him out there.
Yeah.
And I do think he's a better lockdown defender. We don't need anybody else to score. So
I do like it when OG scores, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's nice when he scores, but I totally agree, Graham. Like we don't, assuming the playoffs are more top heavy, you can have guys like Lowry and Pascal, not taking as many shots as they want even. So a guy like OG might come into the game and like not shoot any shots or shoot 2 shots and still play an effective 10 minutes.
But I would argue that's the time to freak teams out if you can, which is what happened when Norm became a difference maker in that playoff series, because they were like, wait a second, who's this guy?
However, counter to the counter, do we need to freak people out if we have Kawhi?
Yeah, we do.
Because that was part of it with DeRozan, right? It's we got to try something else.
No, I think
surprise him.
Kawhi, I don't know how even to put this. I don't I know what Kawhi brings, and I trust it, and I see the difference maker he can be in games. But I also think why would you ever limit yourself? Why would you ever limit yourself? You're like, we can rely on this guy. Let's not try and do some other weird shit or freak teams out if we know that someone has an explosive quality and they can really just for in a playoff game, every minute counts. When you're in the last 3 minutes of a playoff game, it's another 45 minutes of the game.
Right.
Not, it's just a little bit of a stretch. That's what it feels like. But that's the time you want to throw everything you can in the mix.
Yeah, and I think that we've seen some kind of some lineup combinations that the end of that Charlotte game where we made the huge comeback. Pascal was actually playing center, and Ibaka and Gasol sat the fourth, and Kawhi was playing the power forward. I think Fred has actually been a part of some really successful lineups since he's come back. So some smaller guard heavy lineups. So yeah, I think to your point, we're going to see a lot of experimentation still in the playoffs. And I wouldn't expect Nurse to do the Dwayne Casey thing where he's if he wins one game with one kind of specific player combination, he's not going to be married to it.
Yeah, exactly. I guess what the simpler way to put it is let's not lose dexterity.
Right. Yeah. If we have a Swiss Army knife, even if the Swiss Army knife has a part of it.
Let's pull out the corkscrew or the weird nail file.
Yeah.
Or the toothpick occasionally.
But let's also remember that that unlike last year's Swiss Army knife, this Swiss Army knife has a gun. In Kawhi, it has a little thing you pull out. That's just a giant gun.
Analogy.
Yeah, is that a good one, Graham? Is that some Swiss Army knives perhaps have a gun?
I love watching Kawhi as opposed to on this team as opposed to DeRozan and just watching the difference. In late in games or when we need a bucket, it's just DeRozan's really good, but it's holy Kawhi is one of the best players in the world. He just gets buckets. It's awesome. It's incredible to see. The guy's dope as hell. I don't know. And I also think that the problem that we had last year is we relied too much on our Swiss Army knife. And then we got to the playoffs, and everyone, the whole everyone in media, American media especially, was yeah, great bench mob is cool, but when you get to playoffs, no one uses a bench. It's going to be an interesting experiment to see them try and do that for the first time ever in the playoffs. And the playoffs came, and I don't know if you guys remember, but we lost.
What? I thought we won the championship.
I would still argue, though, that was due to poor coaching. I just think because we didn't
use our Swiss Army knife effectively.
Yeah, because Casey clams up. He would just freeze up. And I think just because something has not been done before, like, yeah, like you don't use your bench as much in like the playoffs. You don't like expect them to be the guys that can like clinch the game, but like that bench really could.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it was kind of a combination. Like, I think Casey was really, really good at getting people to buy into their specific roles and bring the best out of those roles. And that kind of like continuity pays in dividends where you have people, you know, they really get better year in and year out and month out. But the playoffs just end up becoming this thing where, you know, we couldn't stop Kevin Love in the pick and pop. And he took too long to figure out that Serge couldn't handle it, and that DeRozan couldn't really be on the floor for the majority of that series. And I think Nurse is a guy, and we saw it even a little bit in that Charlotte game. I know it's just one game, but
it's also Charlotte.
It's also Charlotte. It's also Charlotte. I know. But their length was bothering Lowry, which is something I've been worried about all year with big guards like Brogdon, or, you know, they still have George Hill there, but
The Bucks.
or the Bucks in general, or like a guy like Marcus Smart. He bothers both Fred and Kyle. Because he's a big guy. You know,
Bothers is a nice way to put it.
yeah, bothers is a nice way to put it. Yeah, makes them play bad is a less nice way. But I totally lost my train of thought.
He also says very mean things about their families.
What, Marcus Smart? Marcus Smart seems like a mean dude.
He's a bit of a bully.
Yeah, let's say that's what that is. Bit of a mean guy. I don't know where
the length. You were worried about the length.
Something about the length.
And who isn't?
Yeah, fair, you know? Okay, well, yeah. Since I don't know where I was going anyways, I feel like if it's... Wait, what's this?
This is just you looking at a thought bubble.
Oh, that's...
empty.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Matt. That feels great. Okay, wait. I'm the cougher here, okay?
No, we're both sick.
Graham, I'm going to start this meandering question I got off with you. There's been a lot of extra Raptors content in the past while, and I think the Raptors are really, really good. So we're getting a lot of attention, and obviously you haven't seen all of this, but oh wait, sorry, I got to go back to the point. I just got it. Listen, this is my pod. I'm doing it. Okay, we're playing against Charlotte, and he didn't bring in Kyle, and he had Point Pascal, and I think that's something Casey would never do. Okay, sorry.
Right.
That's
feel better.
Point.
Yeah,
I feel better. I feel better. I'm back. Okay, tons of additional.
You really know your stuff.
What's that?
Man, you really know your stuff.
I know. I know my stuff, and sometimes it takes me a while to get there, but
yeah,
I do. It's floating around somewhere in my brain, you know. Okay, additional Raptors content. Graham, I want you to rank these, even if you haven't seen them or heard them all. So we got 1 through 6. We got Kawhi having a Canadian baby. Kyle doing the green room. Nurse doing the Waj pod. Serge having Kawhi on How Hungry. Gasol doing the green room, and Gasol doing How Hungry with Pau. So rank those 1 through 6.
Got it. You ready?
Yep.
Kawhi's baby number 1.
Okay.
Because this is a sure sign that he's going to resign.
Yep.
Because he doesn't want, maybe he doesn't want like a foreign baby.
What's
you know what I mean?
Kawhi's baby?
He's got to keep it.
So Kawhi.
I missed this story.
Okay, Kawhi
completely.
Kawhi just had his second baby at Mount Sinai. The baby's born in Canada. Therefore, the baby's automatically Canadian.
Did this just happen?
This happened like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Kawhi missed a game.
Or so.
How did I miss
He missed a
this?
game a little while ago for personal
reasons.
Yes,
That's why.
yeah.
A baby's pretty personal.
So number 1, I totally agree.
Damn. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt.
I part of me also wonders if he just didn't know that was a thing, that now his baby's Canadian.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't know, and he probably doesn't care, but I do, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's pretty good. My friend is from the South. He's from Tennessee, and he used to live in New York, and he moved back when him and his wife flew back to Tennessee to have their kid in the South because they didn't want to have their kid in the North. And like Kawhi didn't care at all. So
No.
Kawhi cares. Kawhi cares. So
Okay.
or he doesn't know. But I think that's big. I think Gasol being on how hungry is big because it shows that that Serge is not intimidated by Gasol coming in and taking his starting minutes, and the willingness to be a good teammate.
I like it, reinforcing the camaraderie.
And then his brother was there as like a little buffer.
Double camaraderie.
Powell looks real old, by the way. He looks like he's 46.
Powell is definitely like tipping his hat as he sails away from the NBA.
Yeah. But I thought that was nice. It was a nice gesture, and you could tell that they sort of were feeling each other out of it, but they seem to get along. They're both like nice, smart guys, and they have a history, which is good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they both played in Spain together.
And we also
how hungry is number 3, just because it tricked me, and I was I walked around the house because I thought the link didn't work, and I asked my roommate what I need to buy off of Amazon to make our internet work better, like an internet booster, but it was just an April Fool's prank.
Yeah.
And I haven't been April Fool's pranked in a while, and I bet you dollars to donuts I didn't think that Serge Ibaka was going to be the one to do it, and he did it to me. So good for him.
Serge has been rocking it on social media.
Go ahead.
Oh no, just Serge has been rocking it on social media.
Oh man, you got me. And then Nurse being on the Woj podcast. I had a couple of things I took away from that podcast. One, coaching in professional basketball coaching is a lot like comedy. He was like, I was just I was stuck over in Europe and just trying to break into the American scene. And so I kept like hanging out at like summer leagues, just hanging out, and I'd fly there and just try and like, meet people and just watch games and bump into people. And like, it's like trying to get on like a good bar show.
Yeah.
And
they were talking a lot of shop on that.
Yeah, I thought that's so fascinating that's like one of the strategies. And then also what's completely bonkers is he got his first North American coaching gig because he created a team.
I thought that was pretty cool too.
A D-League team.
Yeah, he's like, you already got a hockey team. Why don't you bring a D-League team here too? Yeah. And the guy was like, sure. And he's like, okay, let me call a team. It was strange and amazing. Yeah.
I think that, like, of course you're going to hire this guy. If you're like, well, let's see if Nick Nurse should be our NBA coach, and he comes in and he's like, well, how'd you get your first start? How'd you get your first D-League team start? Well, I just completely created a team, and then just so I could be the coach for it. It's like I've never heard of that before. He just called a bunch of people until they made a team because there was an empty stadium. We found out.
Yeah, he drove up to a stadium and then like couldn't get in the front doors and called someone and was like, "They need a team here."
You guys have a basketball team? They're like, "No." Do you want one? They're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's legit what happened.
Yeah. And then he called the D-League. Was like, "Do you guys want a team there?" And they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Sick." Done. Anyway, also, I think that Nick Nurse is an example of how Toronto has organizational depth, and they have patience in building that talent, whether it's Spicy P or Van Fleet or whoever. Like they will take the time and take a late round draft pick and mold them into something good. And that's exactly what they did, not only with players, but with like Nick Nurse. Like, guy's in there 6 years, smart guy. I don't know. I was listening to that podcast. I was really proud of him. I like that guy.
Yeah, it's he definitely has like a pretty serious coach's journey. And
yeah, he was like listing the beginning of the podcast. He's like a minute long, 2 minutes long of him just listing weird teams he coached for.
I know, and half of them sound made up.
Yeah,
yeah. He's like, anyway, I was in the Hamilton Honey Badgers.
Yeah, they're all bonkers. Anyway, what
do you got left here?
And then Gasol on the green room, and then Kyle on the green room. I didn't listen to either or watch either, so I don't really know much about them. That's why they went 5th and 6th. I just like that there's chemistry. I like the chemistry.
That's fair, and I think you did pretty good. It seems like you knew or watched 4 of the 6 of these, and that's part of the point. There's a lot of Raptors content right now. I'm actually halfway.
I have a lot of time.
Okay, so do I.
Kids.
So do I, and I still haven't gotten through all this.
You got a fiance.
I do. That's right. I'm getting married.
I just was waiting all day for you to call me.
Yeah, and we called a bit late. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
but it was worth it. We're here now. Katie, what do you think about all this Raptors content?
I'm gonna try and remember
the
ones that you said. I could go from last.
So yeah, what do you care about the least?
Nick Nurse on the Woj podcast.
Really?
I don't care.
Did you listen to it?
No, but I don't want to.
Okay,
Katie.
No, I don't care. When you were like, he just talked for so long about like hanging out.
He did do a lot of that.
Desperate loser. I don't care about that. Like I have a major Nick Nurse bias, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah. Are you like a Nick Nurse?
I'm still not convinced.
You're still not convinced. Okay, that's fair.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the playoffs.
I think he actually I feel like he really needed to convince me this year, and I feel like I'm half convinced. The playoffs still matter.
I'm a healthy quarter.
Healthy quarter.
Convinced.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We were 59-win team last year.
More than I thought I would be by now. So that's last.
Okay.
I didn't really I did a podcast where I reviewed the Gasols on Serge's show with Sean Woodley.
Yeah.
Was kind of, they talked about soccer the whole time.
Oh, okay. I see.
The best part was when they tried to trash talk Serge in Spanish, because they were like, I thought his cooking was going to be trash. And he's like, I could speak Spanish.
Yeah. Serge's like, I can speak 5 languages.
And they were like, oh, I forgot. This is actually pretty good. And then it was like kind of anticlimactic for like what that show is.
See, that's the one I haven't seen.
Okay. Sorry to blow it.
No, I know I'm going to love it now because I love all things soccer.
Okay. They talk about it for a long time. And then the food, they're like, yeah, I eat this all the time. No problem. So that was kind of, and the thing I liked the best on that was when each Gasol bro talked about the other style, and Pau described himself as classical and elegant.
Ooh.
Yes, elegant. He said, I'm more elegant.
I really enjoyed that. And then
my elbow jumpers are elegant, sir.
No, just in the clothes that he wears.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, not his on-court style. Strictly off-court.
Okay, yeah, I guess he's rugged on the court.
And I think he was trying to imply Mark was like a trash can. Like, that his style is not. But he looks pretty good on that app. He looks good.
Yeah, I think Mark can clean up. He's got the I just opened an IPA bar beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 6. I haven't watched the Kawhi.
How hungry are you?
How hungry are you yet? But I like that he pranked everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pop that. This is going to get confusing. I'm going to pop that to 3.
Okay. And everyone at home, I really hope you're keeping track of this.
Please write this down, because I'm not.
People are on tenterhooks.
Oh, yeah.
Then Green Room, Kyle, Green Room. Kyle.
Yeah, and actually I didn't throw Lynn in there. He was also in the green room, but we'll hold up, yeah.
Oh no. Green Room Kyle, 2. Stop.
Oh, is that the Katie thing, Bubble?
Green Room Kyle, 2, because I just really liked how they were riffing with each other. And I feel like somebody, Lowry was really due for that shine. I don't know.
Yeah.
He had a good time on that podcast.
And Lowry was so candid.
Yeah.
That's the most candid I've ever heard Kyle Lowry in anything.
Exactly.
The way he was talking, I could not believe that Kyle admitted that he was basically so angry with everyone that 2 weeks into training camp, that Nurse got a bunch of people to go talk to Kyle because he was mad and wouldn't practice hard.
Which I like that.
I know,
And
then that kind of self-honesty, I'm like, oh man, we must be in a good place now.
Absolutely.
If you're saying that on a podcast.
And he's in a good place.
Yes.
It's super specific, I think, to Lowry's development this year as a player, which has been phenomenal and is something the Raptors should worry about, because I think he is so valuable to any team that needs someone like that.
Danny or Kyle?
Kyle.
Right.
I forget what's left. Tell me.
You know what? No, you guys both killed my weird disaster of a
the
question.
baby. I didn't know about the baby, so I can't lie and be like,
Fair.
it's number one. I feel like that's extremely cool, but I'm also upset at myself. I didn't know that happened.
It's big news, but
That's my brand.
I know, but it's Kawhi stuff, man. He's quiet.
He is.
He'll have a baby. You don't even know about it.
That's super on brand for him.
Yeah.
Off brand for me. But that's where the brands usurped each other. And I forget the other one, so I don't know.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Here we go.
Okay.
Kawhi having the baby. Number 2, I'm gonna say actually Kyle on the green room because of what we talked about. And even though it sounded boring to you, Katie, the Woj nurse thing was good.
You say Woj, huh? Not Woj.
Woj?
Woj.
Woj.
You're looking at
It's
me.
Woj.
I say Woj, but I like that you say Woj.
Woj, yeah. GIF, Woj. Yeah, and the how hungry are yous, I think were I think the green room Gasol is my lower one. Like I'm listening to it right now.
That's what I forgot.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but you know, and the how hungry yous don't matter that much to me. But the fact that he got Kawhi on anything, I thought was kind of cool. I said we talk some NBA. You guys want to talk some NBA?
Sure.
Okay, Matt. Before we do before you hit me with the NBA sting,
Yeah.
tell me something I don't know about James Johnson.
His nickname is Bloodsport.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yikes.
Yes. First one at the gate.
He's a professional fighter. I know
Yes,
that.
he is. He's actually, did you know he's a second-degree black belt in
I
karate?
did.
You
I
know
did.
that? Do you know he's undefeated in 7 MMA matches and also 20-0 in kickboxing?
I guess I didn't know the different sports.
You guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you're
I'm
not blowing me away.
I'm going to
yet.
hit you with a bunch of things
me
right
up.
now. Well, who's his favorite player growing up?
Gotta be Mickey Mantle.
Paul Pierce. Cheers. Next one I would say is a favorite TV show.
Gotta be Cheers.
Yeah, Luke Cage.
Okay, Luke Cage.
Is so when he retires, did you know that he wants to be a mentor, teach martial arts, and maybe open his own school? Did you know that?
I didn't know
They're
that.
called dojos.
Yeah. They're called dojos, James and Matt.
Well, it could be any school because you know what his favorite subject was in school?
What's that?
Math. Cheers. Okay. Do you know what his favorite sport is outside of basketball?
Tennis.
Wrong. Golf.
Okay.
No way. Is that true?
That's true.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of basketball players like playing golf. Is that a thing?
Yeah, but he's like an MMA guy who just, I don't know.
He golfs with his feet. He's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
He also answers the question, what's his favorite outdoor activity?
Gotta be golf.
Yeah, still golf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I got it.
Do you know what his most unusual experience was with a fan? Do you know?
High five, low five. I don't know.
There was a girl who passed out when she touched him. It's pretty unusual.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of scary.
Well, yeah, she might have just been
Like at a game.
I think so.
She got the vapors.
Yeah, she got the vapes.
Oh my god. Was she okay?
Yeah,
Matt?
she was okay.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, is that it? Are you going to end on someone passing out?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's still pretty good. A plus.
Can you
National Basketball
No.
Association.
Katie's not done.
You're not done?
No, I'm not done.
What else would you like to know?
I don't want to know anything about James Johnson. And I really hate to lower the levity, but I think a big factoid you missed is that James Johnson is a domestic abuser.
Yes.
He was he got off on a technicality, wasn't that it? Like his wife didn't
She didn't go to court because I think she
That's
was
right.
Yeah.
so threatened that she did not go to court. And a big problem
Yeah.
I have with the Raptors is that they never made that information public, and then they made a big stink the next year about this.
Was it during
zero
his time with the
tolerance.
Raptors?
Yeah, it was right
my
before
God.
they signed. It was right before they were aware of it when they signed him and they brought him here. 'Cause
Right.
it was the summer before he came here, or
my
brought
God.
him back to the team.
Yeah, 'cause it's
So-
And then they made a big stink after they brought him in.
Yeah, because do you remember this year they waived Kay Fielder from the 905.
which you wrote the article about.
Yeah. And I just like, this is something that I guess the hill I'll die on. Cause I just think if you want to be like, we want to bring in a zero tolerance policy, it needs to be applicable all the time. It can't be when it's like some no-name guy, unfortunately, like Kay Fielder, who like represents like there's no real loss if you cut that guy from the team. But like James Johnson, like, I don't know what, like, I guess it could have been messy and awkward and like weird to mention it, but like be the ones who do that for the first time. Yeah.
Well, I think I was going to go somewhere else with NBA stuff, but I think this is kind of a good time to bring up the Kristaps Porzingis thing.
Absolutely.
Because, and you know what, I should say on the pod, me and Matt sometimes talk about the get to know segments. And when players have like very sad history, we talk about like when it is or isn't appropriate to like bring that up. But that's actually an interesting one with James Johnson because it's not just his history.
Yeah.
Right. And also, you know, I think like podcasts and a lot of sports media has a habit of just, I guess, not having the language or not knowing how to deal with it, and also being in a system that, you know, doesn't want to hear it that much. Yeah. But I think with KP, what I'm fascinated for and kind of hopeful of, to be honest, is that the NBA doesn't really like operate from like a kind of like a Roger Goodell type of like attitude where it's like they're hiding behind the police. And I hope that they are public about whatever their findings are, and that's kind of like a part of the conversation, so it's not just like, oh well, he pressured his victim to not follow through with charges and therefore he's innocent. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think with Derrick Rose, that's someone where, you know, it's a pretty admittedly awful situation. And he was getting praised, you know, even on stuff like the low post. He's just like
rewritten the narrative for himself. Like he's done this he did this Kobe thing where he like rewrote the narrative of like the survivor narrative, but he inverted it. So he's like, no, I'm the survivor in this situation. And like so many people are like fanboys of Rose as much as they are Kobe, that they're willing to like, they're like, this is acceptable. This stands to me. Like this guy's he's like been hard done by, like we've done wrong by him.
Right.
But which like
it's always been bonkers to me that like when the Me Too stuff was really surging, you know, 6-8 months ago, a year ago, and then no athlete got taken down because like we all knew who the abusers were in entertainment, but we kind of glossed over it, and then everyone was like, no, this is wrong, and then they got taken down. And then like people like Ben Roethlisberger or Derrick Rose or whoever, everyone's just like, yeah, well, they're good still.
Yeah, sports is like
well, I think they have a contract. I think Rose has like an ongoing, like I'm writing a very longer thing about this, but Rose has an ongoing criminal investigation pending. So like it's not closed.
I didn't know that.
He was pardoned in civil court, and what? Like,
so and that's where the whole autograph thing took place.
Yeah. So it's not done for him. It doesn't look like it will end in a way that's like, you know, I don't know what will happen to him. I mean, he also is like releasing his movie that he's made himself about himself later this month. About like what a hard time.
Oh, that's true. He is doing that.
So,
but to Graham's point, I was talking with my friend of the show, Adam Christie, about like why sports are this like extra like unpenetrable force when it comes to something like a Me Too movement that was so powerful, and you would just like, you know, by the numbers, like there has to be so many athletes that are abusers or are serial abusers or have been abused. And I think
we already know who they are and they're still not getting taken down because they got multi-million-dollar contracts and there's no legal way to do it because they've, you know, gave the victims a bunch of money or whatever. But I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you know, they're all like people. I don't like this narrative that like athletes are half of them are rapists or something like that. I just don't.
Right.
Think that's
you know
true.
what? And if I came across like that, I should actually walk that back.
Yeah. Anyway. I
think it's like-
I think the scumbags are out there, and we shouldn't buy their jerseys, and they should be kicked off the team.
I agree with you. I think the most difficult thing is like what we were saying is like when the dominoes start to fall, it's going to be people that we hold very close to our hearts as well as people that we've always like maybe known about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the most difficult thing in sports is like when people divorce themselves from their fandom of someone and like how close they hold that fandom versus how close they hold the value of like that someone that's been hurt by that person,
right?
Like a relative stranger.
Yeah.
And I think, there isn't really a clear way to navigate this yet. It's super messy. Like it's super awkward.
Yeah.
And like, we haven't got there yet, but the only way to get there is going to be like consistent work and like applying these same standards across the board, regardless of if it's like a Derrick Rose or like a K-Field or like, it has to be uniform or else like the zero tolerance policy doesn't mean anything.
Well, and just because I was going to talk about the defensive player of the year.
We can get to that.
We can. But I mean, I'm enjoying this conversation, and I think that, it's not kind of like sexual harassment and abuse, but I've been pretty disappointed with a lot of the narrative I've seen around Russell Westbrook and his outburst, and I think that it's really playing into like some harmful racial stereotypes that have plagued the NBA about rambunctious black athletes. And
can you
so yeah, just to recap, people who are listening, some Utah Jazz fans like hurled like racial slurs at Russell, and he not only like yelled back at them, but he also like made threats at them.
Okay.
So he was fined, right? Which I guess is appropriate. But I feel like a lot of the talking heads, like Ringer and just things I listen to, it seems like the takeaway is like, wow, that Russell Westbrook is wild, eh? And it's like, no. The takeaway is that like there's a bunch of franchises that need to kind of like get their shit in order and tell people like, you can scream like, you fucking suck, and like you're the worst basketball player I've ever seen. You can scream
guy going off on Tavares yesterday.
Oh man, you
moly.
can scream some awful stuff. But yeah, like when it gets into like racial territory, I mean, like we just happened with Boogie Cousins in the Celtics too. Mm-hmm. He claims that the N-word was yelled at him. Mm-hmm. The Celtics are like looking into it and have only banned the guy for like 2 years. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with this.
I think that you look like you can. He also threatened to beat up the guy's wife, like to hit a lady.
Yeah,
he did.
But he did own up to that after.
There's like a certain you can say shit back, but you can't. There's a line, and it's hot.
I agree.
I don't know.
I think
your knee-jerk reaction should not be to be like, well, I'll knock out your wife. Like it's like they're both bad. Everything's bad.
Yeah, like that wasn't like the best like response from Westbrook. But of Westbrook, I will say, like of all the players to like stack that, like he's out of control. Like Westbrook is actually one of the most measured and controlled players there are in the league. Like I know he has such a bad reputation of being this like I don't know why, but everyone like hates him. I don't know if it's like
I think because of what the way he talks to the media. I think is a big part of it.
I guess so, but like he's also like I don't think he's as rude or like as disrespectful as some other players we've seen where like there is that expectation or like of how they speak to the media. Right. But he's always in control of like his image and how he comes across. And like the amount of times he has not said anything or like remains quiet, I think has gotten him in trouble too. Like they're like, oh, he's too like, he's a snobby player.
Right.
Because of how he carries himself. So I found that like especially problematic because like the one guy who finally just like has like a human moment that snaps and is like, because they were shouting like, get down on your knees like you're used to or something like that. Right. Like that was like the claim of what?
It was an ugly situation. And I think.
And worse, but, and like people vetted it that were also in that section. And he was just like hit a point where he's like, look, I don't have to stand for this. Like, I think there's like it's like the amount of privilege that people get when like you buy a ticket to a game. Like it doesn't entitle you to like scream obscenities at someone.
I think it also highlights what the NBA has is.
Yeah, but you don't, but you do, I agree with what you're saying, but you can't say I'm going to beat up your wife. Like
he didn't say, I know what you're saying, like, and I agree with you. Like, I think there was a moment where he, like, rightfully was just like, got carried away. But if you're going to allow someone one moment, and like, I'm the last person to say this, and later he did, he was just like, I would never hit a woman. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, I just like, she was saying things to me too. And like, I think he did admit, he was like, I took it too far, but like, you can't talk about me and my family that way.
Yeah, I think why I brought this up too is like it's protocols and how the NBA is going to handle like new stuff like this, because you even have DeRozan and Love coming out last year kind of just being like open about their mental health stuff. And at the Raptors game, there was a whole new like MLSE, like Leafs, Raptors, like, you know, Toronto Rock even thing about like all the kind of the sports media people talking about like zero tolerancy about like, you know, that kind of like bigot laced commenting. And I feel like with the NBA, it is a fragile thing. Fans are very close. And when the NBA is terrified when Russell is like yelling at someone, because they're going right back to Malice at the Palace in their head. And they're going right back to like, oh my God, if America sees Russell Westbrook grab some guy and start beating the crap out of him, we're in huge trouble. And I guess, you know, we went a bunch of places in this conversation, but I'll say that I am somewhat confident in Adam Silver, and I think that a lot of these instances that are like bubbling kind of on the surface, whether it's in a stadium or whether it's like a Kristaps Porzingis scenario, I think that he's the type of person who understands they're not going to be a one-off, and he wants to deal with it in a measured and serious way. That's my takeaway. But I feel like both you guys have a lot of thoughts on this too, so I don't want to cut either of you off. Graham or Katie?
I have a question for you guys about Porzingis.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you go ahead, Katie. You had something.
No, I mean, I would just like to, like, I want to talk about Porzingis too, but to your point, just like Silver, it is hurting to see that he's like willing to kind of like fuck up a bit and like misstep, but like in an attempt to acknowledge what's happening, because it's better than just like not acknowledging it at all.
I mean, he fought the bathroom bill.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember a corporate entity ever doing something like that.
Absolutely.
It was
and
insane.
Like,
and it was very impactful.
You could argue it's like, you know, the notoriety and the publicity that would be around that specific.
Well, no, that's a part of it too.
Because it's like the All-Star game, like that's a different market than like the regular everyday, like kind of NBA fan market.
Right. Like he had more power in that scenario.
He was going to get more notoriety and attention for like coming down on that, which it was the right choice. But like, these are the gray areas where it's like when you don't have like, I'm not saying there should be like, it's not black and white and there isn't a blanket response. So it's got to be nuanced and it has to be measured. But that's like a difficulty that like any large corporation has, right? And like throw that into like the guys who are playing this game, like it's their livelihood, like it's their whole lives, you know? So you have to take them into account too and like keep them safe. And I know people are very like bitter or because they're like, these guys make like millions of dollars, like do they deserve it? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. Like that's a really messed up way to look at it, right? Like to monetize like value, like just because they get paid so much, I get to like be terrible to them. Right. And I always feel like the simplest way is to just equate it to your own job. Like if you were at work and someone came in and did that to you, what would your expectations be? Like you wouldn't expect that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sports
it doesn't have to be so complicated. Like at some levels it does, but like at some levels it's like just be decent. Like,
and I think, you know, for the people who do cross that decency line, like that's why we have to have, you know, these sorts of things in place. These types of things where it's like, okay, are you gonna yell? All right, well, there's
and I think they did right. They like banned that guy.
Yeah,
like, so that's good.
They were all banned for life. And Russell, I don't know what the fine was, but the NBA took the threats seriously. Like it was a big fine. But sorry, Graham, what was your KP question?
So, do you think that Dallas knew about this accusation before the trade?
I do, because look at like it's Mark Cuban. Like I absolutely do. Like I don't know if that's like jumping to conclusions. But
no, but
like,
this is
that
fascinating.
guy has like
that's my next
has
question.
The worst track record.
Do you think that because it's Mark Cuban, Mark Cuban would be more diligent about not having that there because he already has that scarlet letter of the past harassment issues in Dallas. He doesn't want any more? Or you think that means that he's more lenient? He doesn't care. He's like, it's just a bunch of broads. Who cares? Bring in the guy.
Right.
Yeah, like I think you want to think he'd be more careful, but like I don't want to be
he's a businessman. Like that, wouldn't he have to be? Like, isn't he a smart businessman?
No,
like,
I don't. I'm not actually convinced
morality.
he's that smart of a businessman. I think he's like emboldened CEO who's gotten away with a lot for a long time and like made a pretty good profit off of it. I think. Not to be like conspiracy theory, but I do think there's some weird timing to look at with like that trade.
Yeah.
With like Porzingis, it was like there was like a rumor like maybe he wants to be eligible to be traded, and then within like minutes he was like maybe it's gonna be maybe I'm gonna go to the Mavs, and then it's like okay, I'm going. And then it came out like after those allegations came out, then it came out that like they knew all along. But they were still willing to like take him right away. So I mean, I have to wonder like, was that contract shopped around? If it was, were other teams like, did other franchises know about what was going on with him?
What about
and
the
was
Knicks?
Cuban the one that was like?
Did the Knicks know?
The Knicks knew because the NYPD was involved
Right.
at that point. So I'm just wondering, was Cuban like send him here? I don't know. Like, I would hope and want him to be more careful, but I don't actually think. I think like there was like maybe it was ESPN, but there was like a big feature on Cuban after all that stuff happened, and it was like, look, we've hired like a female like assistant coach. Look at all these things we're trying to do in our organization, and it was kind of like a fluff piece because what's really happened since then? Nothing. Like, and then this happened. So I guess I'm not convinced, and I am a skeptic in these kinds of cases, but I'm not convinced that Cuban like would make the right decision in that case. I think he saw an asset in Porzingis that potentially was going to go to like, you know, not even the highest bidder at that point, maybe just like a medium bidder. And like he took the opportunity.
It definitely does kind of like cloud that trade and the reasoning around it, I think, for both franchises. Graham, do you have like a instinct? Like, do you think that, like, in asking that question, do you think that Cuban knew?
I think that there's a possibility. Like, I don't know shit, first of all, but I think that my instinct was that, like, oh, he's a businessman. He would not. He's trying to shy away as much as possible and remove himself from that sort of controversy because he's already been through it. You don't want to court it any more than like that's the one thing in society right now that if you get painted with, you're screwed. And so if you did know about it, my thinking is that he knows that it's not serious. He thinks that either it's not he's not going to be charged, or he didn't know. But maybe he just doesn't care, and he's like, it doesn't matter.
Or he thinks he's going to get away with it.
Teflon man because I'm rich.
It did come out that they told Dallas before the trade happened.
They must have
right?
had.
They did say that.
They did. They absolutely.
So you're saying like, did he know like way
He knew.
before?
Yeah.
'Cause it's been like a year, right?
He knew before he like said, "Yeah, we'll take this guy."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So but maybe he knows something more about the case than the media knows.
Maybe, but I would also say,
he thinks
like,
that it's not going to be a problem.
For Cuban, that did come down on him once, but has he felt the like adverse effects of it? He hasn't.
He survived it for sure.
He still has his job. Like he didn't.
Yeah.
He kind of had to be a bit like, oh, I did some mistakes, and had to like be a bit sad in some interviews. But otherwise, like he hasn't really felt the negative effects of something like that personally.
Yeah.
So I guess I would argue that has he learned?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
in like the
yeah.
most like negative foreshadowing I could ever imagine doing. Okay, wait. Let's. Yeah, I feel like we
I just want to say that
we've dug deep.
thanks for
but sorry.
like getting real. I feel like it's a rare opportunity, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Really
Katie, thanks for getting real.
happen.
Graham, Thanks for getting real.
Yeah. No, thank you. Like,
I'm not wearing any pants.
Okay, it's super real now.
Okay, wow, yeah, super real. I've been wearing a toque this whole time, and guess what? I got a hot head. Okay, yeah, I don't know what that means, but okay, you know what? Let's just let's rifle through some of these NBA questions.
Right.
I feel like we'll be able to get through it pretty quickly. Katie, who's your defensive player of the year? Do you have one?
No.
No.
I haven't even thought of this. I'll deflect this question.
Mine's Gobert. Do you have Gobert as well, Graham?
That's interesting.
I do. Well, my initial pick was James Harden, but I think I'll have to go with Gobert. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Gobert.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah. Well, he's he's on the best. He's on the second best defensive team in the league.
How often do I think of Gobert? Not often.
I know. I think about him when I'm thinking about this. When I'm thinking about this award, I'm like, man,
right instinct.
Who won last year? Huh? Him. Cheers. Okay. Well, who's doing good this year?
It's just too bad about Paul George that he got hurt or his shoulder's all wonky or whatever's going on.
I know.
He was like having one of the best seasons ever until 3 weeks ago or whatever, 4 weeks ago.
OKC, like with him struggling, is still in 5th on D. So I was kind of thinking about him, but I'm like, no, I think I got to give it to Gobert. Okay, Graham. Just moving on here. What is the weirdest storyline of the year in your mind?
The weirdest storyline of the year to me is that LeBron's not going to be in the playoffs. I think that's so weird. I think that like they were going to be in the playoffs, and then LeBron tried to trade the whole team, all of his new teammates, all of his locker room pals.
I know. It was insane.
Every single one, and then it didn't work, and everyone saw, and everything was completely public. And they got trolled by the Pelicans, and then now their season stinks.
Yeah,
and he's not going. He's like one of the top 2 players in the world, and he's not going to make the playoffs, which is crazy. That's going to hurt his legacy, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how it like affects his like long-term legacy. I think that is going to be dependent on how much he can salvage in the next couple of years with LA, but. That has to be the That has to be. But
it's like I think the whole Jordan comparison. But like it's just such a. I'm one of these people that's like, yeah, after he won the last championship, I'm like, maybe it's better than Jordan, you know. And then it's like, Jordan would have never missed the playoffs.
Yeah, Jordan would never miss the playoffs. He'd just leave everyone and go play baseball.
I think it's weird that anyone expected the Lakers to make the playoffs.
Okay, but I have to say I had fully convinced myself. I thought they were 4th in the West. I really did. I thought Ingram was going to have an explosive year.
Yeah.
Listen, I was straight up wrong.
No, I think even if I know, but like it's not enough. And I think this was like a real reality check for everyone. And I don't think LeBron suffered. I think he's like he knew what he was getting into going to that franchise. It's a rebuild situation. Even if you have most beautiful JaVale McGee on your team, you're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
sorry, but I think he knew it. I
thought they were. I mean, I don't know what to say.
And I love that he tried to trade
JaVale McGee.
I love that he tried to trade the whole team away for like one man, and not and that they were like, yeah, all those guys, and then your entire future for the next 5 years.
It was so good. I guess that's probably the weirdest and most like impactful storyline. But do you have another weird one, Katie?
No, just that. Like, I loved it. I love the Lakers, like Anthony Davis back and forth. And I love that everyone was like, hated LeBron in equal parts because they were like, you demanded this trade. And then they were like, you messed up the trade for being too involved. It's like, you got to pick a side. Like, if you feel that way, you got to pick a side. And again, like, I don't think it's going to hurt him whatsoever. And I think AD's going to end up on a good team this summer.
Fair enough. Yeah. My favorite part of that was that their owner was like the owner of the Saints, and she didn't really care. She was just like, wait, is this guy on contract for a whole nother year?
You know, they share like medical staff?
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah. She was like, wait a second, I have this player for another year, and you're trying to tell me that this guy LeBron is forcing a trade?
Yeah.
I don't understand. No. My weird story is way less impactful than this, but it's basically Splash Mountain. Like Brooke Lopez hitting all these threes, still blows my mind every time I watch a Bucks game.
True Encino man.
Yeah, he looks like Encino Man, and he's draining threes, like step back threes. And this is like Brooke Lopez of the Nets.
It's the Encino Renaissance.
Wait, are you saying what to him looking like Encino Man or what to him draining threes?
I'm going to watch him tomorrow. I'm very excited. I'm going to see the Raptors play the Nets.
Oh, the last time I saw that game,
he's not in the Nets anymore.
Creamed us.
Oh yeah, the Nets
he
did
plays for
cream
Bucks
us.
now. Now he's good. Now he's choose the Bucks. Okay,
he's their stretch center. Okay, I'm going to do a quiz. Are you guys ready for a quiz or what?
I hope so.
Okay, it might be really short. We'll see. Katie or Graham, do you want to go first? It's a general NBA knowledge quiz.
I don't like quizzes. I get too stressed out.
Okay.
But you could, whatever.
All right, Graham.
You want me to go first?
Graham, you're going to go first.
Sure. Thanks, Graham.
So here's how it works.
No worries.
Took the hit.
I pick.
I've fully accepted that I'm dumb. So nothing bothers me anymore.
I just want to say this quiz is kind of hard, but I believe in both of you. Okay.
Oh.
No, okay. There's different scales. Here's how it works.
God.
Oh, Matt, you're gonna love this.
Don't punish them.
Okay, I'm not gonna punish anybody.
We just laid our emotions very
I know.
raw on the line.
That's why this is light.
Oh my God.
So I pick an NBA team. You tell me how many players you can name from that team, and you go until you get one wrong. So Graham, you ready?
No, I'm scared.
How many players do you think you can name on the New York Knicks?
Oh, fuck.
It's true.
So wait, I know. First, you have to predict how many you think you can name. So if you're like, oh my God, sorry, 2, then that's okay. But you just gotta.
I have to say how many I can. I don't know. Dennis Smith Jr., Jordan.
Yep.
That French guy who sucks.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I know who you're talking
Frankie
about.
Smokes.
Right? And
Frankie
Natilka.
Natilka. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Frankie Smokes.
oh yeah. That.
Are you capping out at 2?
Knox,
Knox,
and
nice.
then the two guys they got for Porzingis, and then that French guy who sucks.
Honestly, that's not bad for the Knicks.
That's pretty good.
Katie, you ready?
For the same question?
Well, it's going to be a different team.
Oh, it's like because I was ready. No, I don't like this game. But okay.
Are you going to do it?
Let's try.
Okay. How many players can you name on the Atlanta Hawks?
Oh.
It's rough.
Terry Rozier?
Terry Rozier, Boston Celtics. No. Incorrect. Game over. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's short.
Yeah.
Who's their sensation rookie guy?
Not my guy.
He's balding, but no one talks about it.
Okay. Thank you, Graham. His do is really strange, I gotta say.
I can't believe he slapped me
He has
with the
Rafael
Hawks.
Nadal hair.
I can't believe he slapped me with the Hawks.
Trae Young.
Oh, fuck.
You don't know Kevin Herter? Dwayne Dedman?
Oh, I do know
Dwayne
Dedman.
Dedman.
Torian Prince?
I tracked Torian's vacations too. I should have known this.
There you go. Okay, Matt, you want
pressure.
to hit up some quickish questions or what?
Yeah.
All right. First,
Terry Rozier.
I know Terry Rozier. Listen, sometimes the games are short. I was being real. Matt,
Yes.
tell me something I don't know. Oh, wait a second. Here we go. Tell me something I don't know about Mafuzi, Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka. Yeah. This is probably going to be tough. I feel like you know a lot about Serge.
I do, yeah.
Like, you know, he has 17 siblings. 17!
I didn't know the number was 17.
17 siblings.
Matt, you're off to a good start. That's big.
That's wild.
Mr. Ibaka has quite the seed.
Yeah.
Powerful seed.
I know.
That is so wild.
It's not his.
Yeah, no, it's
just
But
siblings.
it's within him, though. You know, like it's him. All the siblings have the seed. Yeah.
There's a gross dance.
Yeah. Sorry, I did do like a shimmy of sorts. Sorry.
He was the first player from Congo to be drafted. You know that?
Really?
Yeah. By the Seattle Supersonics.
Okay. Sorry, that's blowing me away because is Dikembe Mutombo not from the Congo?
Was he drafted?
But yeah, maybe he wasn't drafted. Maybe he just came into the league in some other way. Sorry.
Did you know he had a daughter when he was a teenager and didn't know until like 2013?
I did. I watched the
You knew
Surge
that?
doc. Yeah.
There's a Surge doc?
You better believe there's a Surge doc.
It's called
Great.
Surge Alert.
Yeah, Surge
Alert?
It's pretty cool.
Oh, so you know that he like lived on the streets when he was 12?
Yeah, in Brazza.
Oh my God. Do you know about the Ibaka Games?
No.
So he created something called the Ibaka Games in Congo so that basketball players there could get some visibility from scouts and get proper training and stuff like that. So that's one of the things he does back home. And yeah, I guess he's seen as a real hero there, not only just because of him being able to leave and accomplish what he did, but because he always comes back and helps it a lot. Did you know that? You probably caught it in the doc.
I caught a lot of
Did they say that his favorite movie was Scarface in the doc?
No.
Cheers.
Oh my God, I just like cough laugh. Thank you. Katie. Graham.
17 siblings. I'm an only
Matt.
child.
Yes.
It's been a pod, and we've made it to the quickish questions.
Wow.
These questions are going to be dumb. They're going to be light. They're going to be fast. Hopefully, I'll read them with some form of clarity. Your only job is to answer these questions as fast as you can. No umming or awing. Can't phone a friend.
I feel like I'm always back in high school doing a math exam.
Matt,
when doing these.
You're in exam mode. Would you hit me with the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire sound?
It's not
or
exactly
whatever it is.
that.
Okay.
It is close.
Okay. Regis Philman. Here I am. Katie, it's coming from Peter. Actually, I'm going to speed this up. I'm not even going to list the names. Question number 1. Oh, I'm so sorry. I literally was looking at the wrong thing. Holy shnikes. Okay, you know what? Matt, you got to stall for me for a second.
This is Adam Silver.
Okay, that sound cue
Is that
doesn't help.
keeping you focused for quickish questions?
It actually is, and I'm back to the question.
Nice.
Here we go. Okay, Katie, sorry. First question. Which bench player is going to be the first to bail our ass out of a playoff game?
Slim Duck.
Who?
Slim Duck. Chris.
Oh, is that his nickname?
Boucher?
Yeah, Chris Boucher.
Slim Duck. That's his nickname.
Slim Duck?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
a good nickname. Matt. Kawhi has probably never experienced the majestic rebirth that is spring following a long, cold winter. Are we underestimating the impact this may have on him?
Absolutely.
You have to make it to the finals for that to happen. I've been waiting for that to happen every year for the American players to finally see what Toronto summer is like.
Yes.
But they never make it that far. Cool. Like, Kyle has no idea what it's like here, probably.
You're right. And
There. I mean, I don't live there anymore because it's too cold.
okay, Matt.
Sure. Me?
Well, same question.
Okay. Oh, same question? I think every day from here on out, he's going to notice the change. And when it does hit May 1st, and hopefully we're still in the playoffs, he's definitely going to want to stay here. And because, as we just saw in the news, the Canada's heating up twice as fast as the rest of the world, isn't it?
Yes.
And you can't travel with a newborn.
And you can't travel with a newborn.
Wow. Okay.
You're stuck.
That's a factor. All right, Graham. If you played in the NBA, would you choose shoes that match your uniform, or would you violently contrast?
Shoes that match. I think they look so ugly when they don't. And it just looks stupid. Trying to be an individual. You're part of a team. You look like crap.
Okay. Katie, how would you celebrate if you hit like a Lance style, like wild shot in the NBA? Would it be like a shimmy dance? Would you would you do a quick jig?
I already know. I would do the Buddy Hield move where I did a crazy lap around the court and then taunted my teammates to chase me and then started hurtling over cameramen's wires. And if you haven't seen that clip, you should look it up.
I haven't, and that's
It happened
incredible.
this year. I love Buddy.
Okay, Matt. Quite simply, what's your best hot take from this season?
My best hot take?
Did I stutter? I probably did.
Geez, I think. I mean, I really like following the mayhem that was the Lakers this year. I think. LeBron getting traded in the summer. That's probably my best hot take.
Wow, that's pretty hot.
Hot.
Okay, Graham. LeBron is filming Space Jam 2 this summer. What else should he do with his extended summer break?
What else should he do?
Yep.
I think that he should just. I think he should find some surgery to help cover up the scars on his head from his hair surgery.
So double up.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
He spends $1 million a year on his body, but no one ever talks about the $1 million a year he spends on like hair plugs.
You want more people to talk about Trae Young's hair, LeBron's hair.
That'd be a good one. Trae Young, look, I like the kid. And if I had his hair, I would do the same thing he's doing. But Trae Young has his hair will not survive his rookie contract.
I agree. Katie, you will be one half of the. You will be one half of the color commentators
So sorry.
for the playoffs. Sorry, no. The "you" was capitalized in this question. Okay, let me try that again. Katie, I'm just not going to say the capital part. Katie, you will be one half of the color commentators for the playoffs. Who's your preferred partner to call the game?
Jack.
Jack? Oh, that's you can choose anyone. You're going with Jack.
Or Doris.
Okay, Matt. Most likely to least likely in the next 12 months. Siakam is a top 3 MVP candidate. Knicks get Irving and Durant. Hawks get Zion. It's likely 1 to 3.
Least likely, I'm going to say Zion going to Atlanta.
Okay.
He's going to the Knicks.
Okay.
What was the second one?
There's Siakam for MVP candidacy.
That's most likely. And what's the other one that's right in the middle?
Knicks get Irving and Durant.
I'm going to put that right in the middle because that's I guess, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Okay,
Who
Graham.
cares?
Graham, who would win? Raps 905 or the Knicks?
God, Raps 905 have that guy who just got the 2 MVPs.
Boucher.
Defense Player of the Year.
Slim Duck.
Slim Duck. Chris Boucher.
Yeah, and then probably the 905 because their owner isn't a complete buffoon.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Katie.
Let me ask you this, though.
Okay.
I would rather be, in 2 years, would you rather be where the Knicks are or where the Raptors are?
Is that a question?
Wait, in 2 years, I'm still going to say the Raptors because Siakam's going to be better than anyone the Knicks have.
Wow.
Even Zion?
Well, yeah, I mean, wherever Zion goes,
Durant?
I'll reassess. Durant,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is too hot takey, but I think Kyrie Durant is not a championship pairing of any kind.
I don't like it.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But, and I might just be a hater because I'm also, trying to convince myself that somehow Golden State's not going to win. Okay, but Katie, you're drafting a new Big 3 team. Who's your Big 3? This is like Ice Cube's Big 3 league. It's got to be retired players.
Oh, okay. Rasheed Wallace.
Yes.
Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Paul Pierce.
Okay, that's a pretty good team. Matt.
Yeah.
Which character?
Which NBA player's biography would you like to write?
Probably Jalen Rose.
Fair. Okay.
Good one.
Graham.
Serious? You started writing.
That was very serious. Graham, to finish the pod, I know you just said Jalen Rose, but if you could write someone's biography, who would you write?
My favorite player of all time is Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley. I mean, there's already been a lot written about him. So maybe Zebo. I like Zebo a lot.
Zebo would be fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good character right there. Mm-hmm. Nice guy. not afraid to punch somebody. I like those guys.
Yeah. Okay. Shit. Well, that's the pod, people.
What a pod.
What a pod.
Wow.
We did it.
Big pod. Biggest pod of the year.
Biggest pod.
102.
Graham, thank you so much. You always have a ton going on. What's up? Where can people check you out?
Friends and Sports Podcast.
Well, you can look at my my set on Conan by typing in Stephen Colbert.
Okay. Yeah, don't put rapport.
On YouTube. And also, I'm going to be on this NBC show called Bring the Funny, and we're filming in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
And then be on NBC, and I'll be on there. And then that's all for now.
Hey, that's great.
Oh.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Katie, what's up?
I have two huge things I can't talk about,
Okay.
but they're coming. But in the meantime, you should subscribe to my newsletter, Basketball Feelings, if you haven't.
Sweet.
You can do that by going to tinyurl.com/basketballfeelings.
And
A lot happens there.
a lot happens. A lot happened on this pod today. Thank you both for, opening your hearts and minds. Sorry, I don't know what that meant. But Matt, I love you, and I'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to the pod, everyone. Peace.
Bye.
Hey, Matt, I love you too.
Thanks, guys.
Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.